They told me the trail loops. But mine didn't. I started hiking alone 3 years ago. Nothing hardcore. Just weekend loops through parts of New England that hadn't been overdeveloped yet. I wasn't trying to find myself or go off-grid, I just wanted the quiet. The kind that doesn't hum with electricity or traffic or notifications. The kind that lets your thoughts echo back at you. That weekend was supposed to be simple, a solo hike through the Arnhem State Forest, 7.2 miles of light elevation, soft bends, and gentle, empty woods. I'd taken the Friday off, loaded my pack, and left the city before sunrise. The ranger at the check-in station barely looked up when I signed in. His name tag said Dave. His eyes said sleep-deprived. "You're early," he muttered. I smiled, trying to beat the cold. He nodded slowly, then scratched something on the clipboard. "Before I turn to go," he added, "stay on the red trail." I plan to. His voice followed me out. "And if you see a second path, don't follow it. You hear me?" That made me stop. I turned, halfway expecting him to grin. But he didn't. He just stared, like he'd said something ordinary. I laughed awkwardly, gave him a thumbs up, and headed into the trees. By midday I'd already covered 3 miles. The woods were quiet. Too quiet. No wind. No birds. The trail was clear, wide enough for 2 people, marked by red diamond plates nailed to trees every few hundred yards. I liked the silence at first. It felt sacred. But around mile 4, it started to feel off. Like I was walking through a place that didn't want me there. Not angry, just tired of being seen. That's when I noticed the fork. One path kept going forward, broad, flat, worn. A red diamond nailed to a tree 10 feet ahead. The second path, off to the right, was harder to spot. Narrow. Overgrown. Curving downhill into thicker woods. No markers. No signs. No tracks. And yet, something about it felt inviting. Almost like it expected me. I stood there for maybe 2 full minutes, listening. Nothing. Not even wind. Just my own heartbeat and the whisper of leaves shifting without sound. I was about to turn away when I saw the carving, faint, just above head height on a leaning pine between the 2 trails. "Stay on the first path." The letters were raw. New. As if someone had cut them just this week. I kept walking. But I didn't forget it. That night I made camp a little off the trail, maybe 100 feet from the last red marker I'd passed. I cooked beans over my backpack stove, boiled water for tea, and listened to nothing. No owls. No crickets. No wind. Just the kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes you aware of your own pulse. Before sleep, I did what I always did on these trips, I recorded a voice memo. A little habit I'd picked up during the pandemic, when talking to my phone was the closest thing I had to conversation. Day 1. Cold, but good. Made camp by dusk. No signs of wildlife yet. Place is beautiful, but kind of eerie. Had a weird moment with a second trail earlier. Didn't follow it. Not stupid. I laughed softly. Anyway. Hoping for better sleep tonight. If I keep talking to myself like this, I might start answering back. I stopped the recording. Laid down in my sleeping bag. Zipped the tent shut. It took me a long time to fall asleep. Somewhere around 2 or 3 a.m., I woke up. There was no sound. No movement. Just stillness. But I felt watched. Like something was crouched just outside the tent, not trying to get in. Just waiting. Observing. Breathing in sync with me. I held my breath. And I heard it. A second breath. Not mine. A slow inhale. A slower exhale. Right beside the tent wall. I didn't move. I didn't blink. Just counted the seconds until it faded. Then silence again. At dawn, I stepped out and looked for tracks. Nothing. Not even deer. The ground was undisturbed. Clean. Dry. I opened my phone to check the weather and noticed the voice memo icon blinking. One new file. Timestamped 2:41 a.m. I didn't record anything after I fell asleep. I hit play. At first, just static. Soft, pulsing white noise. Then, a voice. My voice. But slower. Deeper. Drawn out like someone trying to imitate me. Why did you leave me on the second trail? Silence. Then static again. Then the file ended. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I deleted it. But it didn't go away. A new copy reappeared 5 minutes later. Same name. Same timestamp. Same words. I tried to keep moving. I told myself not to let it get in my head, the voice memo, the breath outside the tent, the second trail. But that morning, the trail was different. I'd hiked another mile, maybe less, when I noticed something that made me stop mid-step. The red trail markers, the diamond-shaped ones nailed to the trees, were gone. In their place was a small, faded yellow circle. Same shape. Same height. But I'd never seen yellow used in this park. And this one looked old, like it had been painted on wood that had since begun to rot. I checked the map. Nothing about alternate markers. Nothing about yellow. I turned back the way I came. But after a few hundred feet, another yellow circle. On a tree I swear I hadn't passed before. The path behind me was wrong, not overgrown, but off. Too narrow. Too dim. The light had changed without me noticing. No sun filtering through the trees, no blue sky, just a flat gray that sat on the leaves like dust. When I turned around again, I froze. The second trail was back. Cutting through the trees, like it had always been there. Same curve. Same slight dip. Same unnatural stillness. But this time, the carving was gone. No warning. Just open silence, pulling at me like a current. I kept going forward. Fast. Eyes locked on the trail ahead. I wanted out. I didn't care about the full loop anymore. I just wanted to find the parking lot, the ranger station, another voice. Any voice that wasn't my own. But the woods were wrong now. The map said I should have hit a ridge, a small lookout point where you could see the canopy stretch for miles. Instead, the trail curved sharply, like a fishhook, and brought me right back to the stream near my first campsite. I checked my compass. North had shifted. I turned around, took a different direction, straight, no curves, and ended up in the exact same place. Same trees. Same stream. Same half-burned log in the fire pit I'd left the night before. Only now the ashes were cold. Like no one had used the fire for days. That night, I didn't sleep. I set up camp reluctantly, stomach twisted with something like vertigo, not nausea, just a sense that the earth underneath me wasn't holding still. I didn't make a fire. I didn't eat. I just lay there, fully clothed in my bag, flashlight in hand, staring at the nylon of the tent ceiling as windless silence pressed against the walls. And then, sometime past midnight, I heard my voice. Outside the tent. Not a whisper. Clear. Sharp. Same cadence. Same tone. Come back. I'm still on the second trail. I sat up instantly, heart frozen mid-beat. The voice wasn't angry. It sounded tired. Like someone who'd been lost a long, long time. You left me here. I followed the turn. I followed the yellow. Silence. Then something brushed against the side of the tent, not hard, not scratching, just enough to say it knew I was awake. I held the flashlight up to the tent wall, but saw nothing. No shadow. No shape. When the sound finally stopped, I stayed frozen for what felt like an hour. Then I opened my phone. There was a new voice memo. No name. No timestamp. I pressed play. You're getting close now. You remember this place. You just don't want to. The voice wasn't mine this time. It sounded like it had been copied from me, but not cleanly. The words dragged. Certain syllables popped too loud. Others sank, as if they were being spoken from deep underground. The trail loops, yes. But not for everyone. The recording ended with soft laughter, mine, distorted, followed by something that sounded like another voice layered beneath. Something deeper. Inhuman. When I woke up the next morning, the trail was gone. No markers. No path. Just forest. Endless, identical forest in every direction. Except one. The second trail. Wider now. Cleared. Like something had been walking it recently. Dragging something heavy behind. And this time, it wasn't waiting. It was leading. I don't know how long I followed it. The second trail had no markers. No end. Just an endless, winding cut through trees that all looked the same. I told myself I'd follow it until I found another person, another fork, a way out. But it was never about direction. It was about pull. The deeper I went, the more the air changed. Not colder, just heavier. Like breathing through soaked cloth. Like the space around me had thickened. And the light, it faded from cloudy gray to something else. A dull amber glow, like lantern fire through fog, though I never saw a source. Just, light without reason. Then the sound started. Not in front of me. Not behind me. Inside me. This is where you left it. The words landed like memories. Not heard, remembered. Familiar. Old. Rotten at the edges. I stumbled over something, a shallow rut in the dirt. Not a root. A groove. Long dragged. Something heavy had been pulled down this trail. And then I saw them. Footprints. Pairs of them. All the same boot tread. Mine. Dozens of overlapping sets, all headed in the same direction. No prints going back. None. Just mine. The trail ended without ending. 1 minute I was pushing through brambles, the next, I stepped into a clearing I swear wasn't on any map. Dead leaves carpeted the ground. Trees circled close like walls. In the center, a collapsed structure, maybe an old hunting shack, sat half swallowed by dirt and moss. The roof caved inward, black mold spreading over the siding like bruises. But it was the door that stopped me. The front door stood perfectly intact. Clean. White. No rot, no mold. And on the center, a small brass plate. WELCOMEBACK. Something shifted in me. My stomach turned. My teeth ached. Because I remembered this place. Not fully. Not clearly. Like something I'd dreamed as a child and forgotten on purpose. I stepped forward. My hand reached out. Not because I wanted to, but because something else inside me did. Inside the shack, the air was still. Too still. Not silence, the absence of noise. The floor creaked with a different weight, like walking across a trap. The walls had no windows. Just peeling, colorless wallpaper, and long, deep scratches near the corners, like fingernails dragged along rotting wood. There was a mirror, hanging crooked, smeared with something red. Not blood. Not quite. And in the center of the room, a chair. Facing away. Occupied. I didn't want to move. But my body kept going. As I rounded the chair, I saw myself. Not a reflection. Not a hallucination. Me. My jacket. My hair. My torn boots. My posture. Everything, exact. Except the face. It looked like me, yes. But older. Hollowed. Eyes rimmed black, skin grayer, like something had dried it out from the inside. The mouth hung open, twitching slightly. And beneath the lids, the faintest flicker of motion. It was alive. Barely. And then, it spoke. But not with lips. The voice memo app on my phone opened on its own. A new file blinked red, recording. And in my voice, through the speaker. We came here before. You just left me behind. The figure in the chair didn't move. But its chest rose. Then, in perfect sync with the voice on the phone. You split. I stayed. But you can't stay whole without me. The voice inside the phone changed then. It wasn't mine anymore. Lower. Slower. Something else wearing my cadence like a mask. You've circled long enough. It's time to sit down. My legs went weak. Because I remembered now. I remembered a trip like this, years ago, a trail I followed alone. A strange turn. A shack. Voices. And then. Nothing. A blank space where memory should be. A hole in my life I had never questioned. But now it filled in. I had walked this trail. I had found this place. And when I saw what waited inside it, I turned around and left it there. I'd left part of myself behind. And now it had grown. Waited. Learned to speak. And it wanted to return. I backed away from the figure in the chair, heart pounding like it wanted out of my chest. My own face. My own breath. My own voice in the speaker. But it wasn't me. It was something I'd abandoned. Something I'd shed, like skin, like guilt. And it remembered. The shack moaned in the windless air, boards flexing under pressure that didn't come from weather. The door creaked shut behind me. Not slammed, closed. Deliberate. And the voice kept playing. You left me here in the dirt. You left your panic. Your grief. You thought walking away meant healing. But you didn't walk away. You split. I tried to delete the memo. The screen wouldn't respond. I tried to power off the phone. It stayed glowing. And then it spoke without the speaker. The first path was the lie. The second path is where we rot. And rot is where you grow. My knees buckled. The smell in the room changed, no longer mold or decay, but something older. Soil. The kind that had been turned too many times. The kind that had memory. I turned toward the door. It was gone. Not just shut, vanished. Where it had been, now there was only wall. Papered. Cracked. Breathing. I turned back. The chair was empty. The figure, me, had stood up. And now it stood across the room. Still. Watching. Like it had never been sitting. Its mouth moved. But the sound came from inside my skull. You kept the name. I kept the pain. It stepped forward, and with each movement, I forgot something. A birthday. My sister's voice. My first apartment. Every step erased more. We can't be separate anymore. I stumbled back into the mirror. My reflection looked wrong. Not flipped, delayed. Like the image didn't keep up with me. I raised my arm. My reflection raised it a second later. And then, it didn't lower it. I stared into my own eyes and saw a different light. Not fear. Not confusion. But recognition. It nodded once. And sat down. In the chair. I felt my knees go weak, like someone had pulled strings attached to me from the inside. I dropped. Not onto the floor, into the other chair. My body didn't move. But inside, I was screaming. The other me smiled. It tilted its head slightly, then spoke in my exact voice, but in reverse. Emekle Nyage. Then silence. The shack flickered. Not light, the space itself stuttered. Like an old VHS on bad tape. And just like that, I was alone. The mirror showed me in the chair. Still. Expressionless. But I wasn't looking out. I was looking in. I raised my hand. It didn't follow. Because it was no longer mine. Somewhere far away, I heard birds again. Distant. Tinny. Not in the room, outside it. Like sound was returning to a world I no longer belonged to. I tried to move. My body didn't listen. I tried to scream. The breath never came. And then, for just one moment, I saw the door. Real this time. In the mirror. Behind me. Open. And in the reflection, someone stood in the clearing. Not me. Not him. You. I don't know how long I've been walking. Sometimes the trail feels like it ends. Sometimes I find myself back at the same crooked pine with the faded carving. Other times I swear I'm walking in places I've never seen before, hills that shouldn't exist, moss too deep for this season, branches that arch unnaturally like ribs. But it's always the same air. Heavy. Yellow-stained. Breathing just behind me. I don't eat. I don't sleep, not really. I blink. I drift. Time folds over itself like wet paper. And yet I still remember you. Your boots. Your flashlight. Your hesitation at the split. I remember how you stared into the trees, waiting for something to invite you. You almost heard me. Almost. There are rules here. Old ones. You learn them without being told. Don't speak unless the forest speaks first. Don't run. The trail gets excited when you run. Don't answer if your own voice calls you. And the last rule, the one they never write. Don't follow the second trail twice. The first time, it takes your way back. The second time, it takes your name. I found a tree yesterday. A thick old thing, bent with age, split down the middle like something tried to crawl out of it. At its base were scraps, papers, wrappers, IDs, even a child's shoe. And carvings. So many carvings. Names, initials, coordinates. Phrases like, "I remember now. She's still whispering. He told me to turn around but I didn't. Don't sit if he's still in the chair." I touched the bark and felt heat. Not warmth. Body heat. Like the tree had recently swallowed someone whole. I backed away. But I left something there. I don't know what. A cough. A blink. A version of myself that didn't want to keep walking. The forest keeps things. It catalogs. It curates. Later I found a place that smelled like my bedroom as a kid. Same dust. Same faint scent of crayons and detergent. Only there was no house. Just a dip in the ground. And in the center, a tape recorder. It clicked on when I stepped closer. And my voice, age 9, said, "I think something is watching me sleep." But I don't want to wake up in case it stops. Then silence. Then a breath. Not mine. The chairs are still out there. Some are buried. Some rot in the open. Some sit in perfect rings around nothing, just grass and quiet. But you can feel where someone sat too long. You can feel where they left their weight behind. I found mine again. The first chair. It's deeper now. Covered in roots. But when I stood over it, I felt something shift under my skin. Like my bones remembered the posture. Like my blood wanted to return to a rhythm it hadn't known in years. And I heard a voice, soft and close. The chair never moved. You just walked away from yourself. I sat. Not because I gave up. But because the walking had become circular. I realized I was never moving through the forest. The forest was moving around me. Like a hallway that changes each time you close your eyes. Like a thought that becomes true because you believe it long enough. Today I heard someone else. Clear footsteps. Cautious. Confused. They stood at the fork for longer than most. I could hear them muttering. Talking to themselves. Saying my name. Not out loud, not quite. But in the voice I used to have when I was afraid. They stepped forward. Not onto the main trail. Not even the second. But a third path. One I've never seen before. It wasn't there last week. Or yesterday. Maybe it was always there, but I wasn't allowed to see it until now. I don't know what's down that trail. But the forest leaned toward it. Like it was listening. Like it was curious. If you ever find yourself in the woods, and you think you hear someone calling your name, don't answer right away. Let the echo fade. Let the wind pass. Because it might not be someone looking for you. It might be someone you left behind. A version of you still waiting in the chair. A loop you never finished. A trail you never meant to walk. But did.